Merry Christmas, welcome back. I'm here with Shane, and I'm Tim, and we're at the repair shop of Donor Auto, and coming to you with another, probably the last episode of 2017 for the Car Doctor channel. Along with the new year, we're going to ring out this repair job here. It's actually been a long-term project now. It's been probably a year in the making of the shop truck. And we've been documenting this voyage, so to speak, and it's had its ups and downs. It's been kind of a horror flick, some of it, as you see, and then there's been some, there's a little bit of a love story going on here, a love-hate relationship with the old Ford. So I wanted to knock this out before the end of the year, and brought Shane in to go ahead and put the cat sticker on the hood, and we'll tell him a little more about that next year. You'll find out why we're putting a cat sticker on the hood. You are not going to believe this. It has nothing to do with putting a cat motor in the truck.
Maybe give it more horsepower.
That 460, this is the worst 460 I've ever had. It's just, it's Satan's spawn. It's not good. So anyway, dumped a whole lot of money into it, but it's been fun and a learning process along the way. So Merry Christmas to me. I got a beater truck out of the deal. So Shane, if you want to put the sticker on, I'll introduce a little more of this video, give you a little more background info. But throw that cat sticker on the hood, and Shane is prepping that, and he's going to get it stuck on there. Hopefully it won't peel off under high speed maneuvering. But it was just a recap. We had the light bar install. We had the radiator failure with the it was up in the pass, and I was towing my boat, and I had nothing except a dozen eggs, and that was kind of a mistake, really, because I did make it back to town, but in the process this thing got really hot, and so the motor came back out, and we went through the heads again and had that whole cam issue, and along the way just kind of tweaking it, tuning it, and the end result is a truck that burns oil and runs like crap and sucks a lot of gas. So pretty happy with the result. I got this truck for $500 with the entire wiring harness wrapped around the front drive shaft because a little wire was dangling there as they're driving down the road, and it wrapped up, and it pulled everything from the taillights to the headlights and up under the dash, and it was a wad of wires that big. And I spent 3 days just kind of rewiring it. I didn't even get a new harness. I just started running wires, and I got it going. There's a lot of red wires. It's the only color of wire I could get. So I hope I never have to trace out an electrical problem on this thing. But I probably should have left it at that, and I decided to kind of tweak it a little bit. And of course, you'll see in the video the continuing saga, but we're going to lay this thing to rest, and it's just going to be a shop truck. Maybe we'll throw a couple of bales of hay in it, and our wives in the back, or tow a sleigh or something, and go have some Yuletide oil smoke or something, smoke some oil and some reindeer sausage. So anyway, check out this video. I hope you enjoy it, and a Merry Christmas, and have a good one. This episode of the Car Doctor channel is being brought to you by Ford Motor Company. Now a message from our sponsor. Trying to figure out what happened to this Ford Exploder over here. What the heck? Okay, we might be back with some bad audio again while I get my memory card for my camera. So I'm using the iPhone for this one. But I thought I'd give you an update. We pulled the motor out of the shop truck, and it's an F-350. I got a 460 in it. Anyway, I've always had problems with this motor since I put it in. And I'm starting to discover why. And then, of course, this was the one I did the video about, the overheating deal, where I put some eggs in it to get back to town. Well, I probably should have just had it towed, because now I've discovered that it was actually leaking coolant and water into the engine oil, and it was a mess. I didn't know that until I pulled the drain plug, and white milky yuck came out. So, bummer deal there. This thing's only got like 10,000 miles on it since I overhauled it, and just an unfortunate deal. Hoping to get 100,000 out of it before I had to monkey with it. But we got it back out, and I thought I would film the autopsy. See if we come up with anything conclusive. It's obviously leaking out of the front cover, timing cover gasket blew, and obviously it was leaking coolant into the oil as well. Very milky situation. But I did find one thing. It's always consumed oil the whole time. I had bought one brand new head and had it shipped up here, had valve guides installed, and I threw some used valves in it that seemed tight, and also had another head that was rebuilt by a local machine shop prior to them going out of business, and I bought it on Craigslist. I bought two of them. I noticed one had a crack. So I scavenged the parts and got another casting, and this is what I came up with. I believe the new head that I got, I have oil entering the number 4 cylinder back here. So we got to find out what's going on there. I don't know, valve guide, valve, maybe a piston problem. But this thing was bored out, new pistons, you know, the whole 9 yards. So we'll find out what's going on. I'm gonna tear the front cover off. I'll show you what we find there. This is where the gasket failed externally here. And it may have been running down here with the internal leakage. Kind of hard to say. Hopefully we don't have cracked head, because it got really hot. Yeah,
You can see where it was leaking in there. I'm filming this. Do you want to be on it?
No.
I believe it is. I haven't. Yeah, it is.
It would make me weird to get another one from them.
Yeah, possibly.
But that was the only place. The whole
Okay, well, I found out the oil consumption problem. It's occurring on multiple cylinders, not only just this number 4, but I did take the valves out of the number 4 and take a close look. Anyway, it's a result of improperly installed or wrong valve seals. This is all beat up. The little keeper around the top of the valve seal was loose in there. And I also discovered on the other side, one of the valve seal keepers is broken and laying on top of the lifter. And I see one is loose over here, so something's not right. I believe I can get some, we machine and install some different valve guide seals. But I am not a pro on the heads, and I did, this was a new head, and I did kind of match these ports, just port matched it a little bit, and put these together and put the springs to match my cam. And I have to accept full responsibility for this shenanigan here. But I'm going to take it to my machine shop and get them to do this right. I'm probably going to have them go through the valves. It probably needs a new set of valves, but I think my guides are okay. And it just needs cleaned up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and surface them. It got so hot that I'm going to surface them up, and that would be good to go. I took a real close look at the pistons, and cylinders look real good, nice and clean. I did run that number 4 down and make sure I didn't see any cylinder wall damage or anything like that. Here we go. Yeah, you probably can't see super good, but it's just, there's not a lot of cross hatching. I don't think I really like the crosshatch they got, because this shouldn't be so smooth. I see no crosshatching. But pistons look brand new. The sleeves, when you run them down, the skirt, it's got that Teflon coating. I mean, it just looks brand new. So other than some carbon on here, it looks great. We're going to clean things up, and I'm going to probably replace the cam and lifters just as a precautionary measure based on the overheat and passing so much water through here. And we'll go ahead and check the bearings and whatnot and make sure they're all okay. But actually better prognosis than I had hoped. A little humiliating, humbling experience, but you live and learn. So we'll get this thing squared away. I'll keep you posted, get some more videos up on this thing as it progresses, and I get some word back from the machine shop, and they'll probably make jokes about me and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, that's cool. I don't mind. Have a good one. See ya. Here's our cylinder heads off our shop truck. That's the 460 engine I got out of the shop push truck that overheated and had some issues with valve train. So did a full head job, even though I only had 10,000 on these heads, but needed to go through and make sure we go. Since I got the motor out, do it right, and ended up that actually the intake, or actually the exhaust valve height was about 20 over the minimum or the maximum installed height. So they went ahead and shimmed, adjusted all the spring pressure, ground the valves, of course, cleaned things up, surfaced them, pressure tested them, all that, and then set the installed height, and also had them actually shave about almost 20 thousandths off top of these guides and put those improved oil seals on the valve guides. So these puppies are good to go. Hopefully not going to have any more issues with these. These are original equipment heads. Well, one of them is, and the other one's a replacement casting. But basically, just a light port job that I did on them. Just kind of some port matching and polish, and dressed up the around the guides and just inside the valve seats and whatnot, and port matched them, like I said, polished them up a bit so get a little better flow, even though the OE heads flow pretty good. There's a little you can do to the intake manifold as well to improve flow, but these are pretty decent heads. So I'm excited to put this thing back together. I'll show you a little more later about the other stuff we're putting into this. I'm actually throwing the camshaft in now. We've gone through and checked our bearings on the lower end of the shop truck motor. Got my heads back, and I'm going to throw this cam in. I'm going with the comp cams. It's the Extreme 4x, and this is the 235-4 cam, and this thing's got 262 intake duration, 270 exhaust, with a 514 intake lift and 524 exhaust lift. So I get to have a little bit of a choppy idle, but that'll be kind of fun anyway. So I'm going to degree my cam here and get this thing going back together. Hopefully this weekend we can make some progress on this thing and get it plugged back in and back on the road. Well, here's another interesting development. I go to throw my cam in, and I've learned to check the number on the end of the cam. I've actually never had a misbox cam. But I've been told over and over again, double check the number, and what do you know? So this is the number I've got on the end of this cam. It's supposed to be a 34-235-4, and you can see the number on it. Well, this is a full-on drag race flat tappet cam with like 4,500 stall speed converter, and I would put this thing together. It is for a 460, but I would have been like, what the heck's going on here? This thing won't idle at all. Oh my gosh. I am super glad I caught that, and we're not sure if there's another correct cam in town. But man, that grind, that would have been sweet. That would have been a bad boy there. Whoo! Unbelievable. Lord's watching out for me. Okay, we're ready for the first attempt at starting this thing. I'm not sure, I may have it at 180 degrees out. But Mini-Me was by here yesterday and helped get things lined out, and got things roughed in. There's a couple more things I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get the wires all nice routed properly, but we are ready to try firing this thing off and see what happens. If they just shoot flames and fire or nothing else. Oh, starter's so good. Runs like crap.
Okay, final modification on this truck, hopefully. So after all these performance mods, we've pretty much changed the whole configuration of the system. So we can no longer just use that A9L with the calibration that's in it. We're just kind of limping along at this point. And since we've upgraded to the PMAS, mass airflow sensor, basically a lightning mass airflow, I went ahead and purchased a tweaker unit, which the tweaker unit is one of the first commercially available units that plugs into the J3 port of these older EEC module computers that we have in there. And this computer is located down near the driver's front kick panel. You have to actually access it in the inner fender well and remove the module, open up the J3 port, clean it up, install this tweaker unit, and then we route, this is the USB cable. There's a couple of options for the tweaker unit. You can get the tweaker base model or the tweaker RT. The real-time tweaker does have the ability to look at all the data real-time. At this point, I didn't want to, wasn't flush with cash, so I purchased the base model that doesn't have the ability to monitor real-time data, which is unfortunate, but we can always send it back in and just upgrade it at a later date. And I wanted to get back on the road at the lowest cost possible since we've dumped so much money into this. But anyway, there'll be a USB cable connecting to the tweaker. And then there's also a switch, which I've mounted over by the glove box, that puts the tweaker back in the base cal mode, basically the original calibration of my EEC module. And also you can turn the switch to a position where it will basically be a theft deterrent. It won't start. So that's kind of an added security feature. But anyway, tweaker comes with the tweaker software. This is Cal Edit software, and it was installed on the laptop. And of course, it's just like any tuning software. You know, it has the ability oh, I don't know why I'm trying to use it as a touch screen, but here's the math. Let's see, mass airflow table here, which I've already updated. The mass airflow parameters to mass airflow function. Function is what I'm trying to do here. See where we're at here. Math transfer function. So you have the ability to totally tweak this calibration, and this is basically what I've entered the values that this PMAS unit came with, and put it in here. Made a couple other tweaks. Mike Glover, the fellow that sells the tweaker units, gave me an original calibration based on my engine configuration to kind of get me going, which was a great starting point for me. There's a lot of learning curve on this to get to know the software and how to use it, and especially without the real-time function, it's going to take a little bit of trial and error, so to speak, to figure it out. But once you've tweaked all your tables and functions and got things lined out, basically connect the USB here, and turn the vehicle on. And now I can just upload this to the tweaker unit. And I can just click this button here, write it directly to the tweaker unit, There we go. It's reflashing the tweaker with all these parameters, and it's a success. So we are good to go at this point. I'll just cancel out of this. We'll start things up and see how it runs.
Got some exhaust leaks, but it's running pretty clean, pretty smooth. Let's go over the specs on this build. We got a 93 F-350. It's a 4x4 truck. We threw on a 52-inch light bar by Oxbeam. We've put 35-inch BFG all-terrain TA tires wrapped on 16.5 alloy rims by American Racing. This is a 8-foot bed truck. Up front, we've got a custom welded steel push bumper. And underneath we've got a 4-inch suspension lift with Rancho RS6000 shock absorbers. Under the front we've got a Dana 60 front differential. Behind the engine we have a built C6 transmission. We've got a heavy duty torque converter and a shift enhancement kit. Backing that up is a Borg-Warner 1356 transfer case with PTO. And we have a custom welded dual exhaust system, slightly rusty. Let's go over the motor real quick. 460 V8, it's got the 385 stroke, 436 bore stock. We've bored it 30 over. This is the D9TE block. Imagine we're running slightly under 400 horsepower in its current configuration. We've equipped it with a PMAS 95mm mass airflow sensor. It's a slot style sensor, rated at 2,600 kilogram per hour airflow. It's got the standard OE ignition system with the EAT computer. We've got a TrickFlow TFS 32-pound injectors all the way around. We put in a Comp Cams 34-235 for camshaft springs and keepers. We've got the OE rockers on these heads. We did put a double roller timing chain and gear set. And we did install the tweaker with a custom tune and calibration.
When these shepherds encountered this angel that came down, they were so scared, dude. It was like a backfire from a mistimed engine. They were pretty much probably had to change their shepherd's clothing afterwards. But Angel said, "Don't be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord. This will be a sign to you that you will find a baby wrapped in clothes, laying in a manger." And suddenly a great company of heavenly hosts appeared with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace to men on whom his favor rests." And with that, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a joy-filled New Year, and just glad that we have the hope that we do because of what happened a couple thousand years ago. And you all take care. We'll catch you in the new year.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, man.